There are two things that have to happen for any law firm to grow their business, aside from the most important thing, which is great legal work. Your website is your home. You must have a great digital presence. So your digital marketing agency has got to be doing a great job. But this is what I say to law firms across the country. You have the best SEO, everything's working, but nobody knows who the fuck you are.
So
why are they going to choose you?
It's so true. Yeah. Hey there, everyone. I'm Tom Bosworth, and this is the City of Brotherly Law. Welcome to Philly's Legal Pulse, where we chat with some of the city's and the country's best attorneys about what's really going on in our courts and our communities. Let's dive in and see what's brewing in the City of Brotherly Law. Gary Sarner.
Hello there, Tom.
How are you?
I am living the dream. I'm on with you.
Well, that's not why you're living the dream, but you are the radio expert, and we've never met, so I actually kind of like that. We're gonna go with it. Who are you, and what do you do?
So, Gary Sarner. I am based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we are ROI 360 Plus, the radio experts. That is not all we do, but after my 35 years in radio, managing radio stations, selling advertising, it just seemed fit to add that to who we were when I opened the agency 4 years ago next Tuesday.
Wow. So what were you doing before you opened the agency?
I worked in radio for 3 companies here in South Florida for 35 years. There were a couple of mergers and acquisitions along the way. So it was probably a little bit more than 3 companies. But so, radio's been my entire career.
Yeah. So do you now focus on helping law firms only, or is it broader than that?
So it's funny that you asked that. When I opened up, it was going to be for everybody. But 4 years ago, when I did open, I was working with a law firm here in South Florida for 8.5 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was working at the radio stations, they knew that I was doing the marketing for this law firm. They were a big client of ours at the radio station. And April 1st, 2021, doors open, and I hear about this National Trial Lawyers Conference, which was happening in May because of the pandemic. It wasn't in January. So I had a friend that was going. He says, "Oh, you should come with me." I was like, "Okay, what the hell? I'll come with you." And I don't have my loud shirts on, and I don't know how much you know about me.
I pulled you up, and that was the first thing I noticed, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But you're wearing a pretty modest one right now.
Today, yeah, it's Friday, and you know what? I was just like
tired.
I'm not doing the dog and pony show today.
Good.
But as I'm getting ready to go to the conference in Miami, and I booked a room down there so I could stay, my better half says to me, "Hey, what are you going to do to separate yourself? You know, one person going." I'm like, "I'll sit at the bar and I'm going to drink seltzer water and I'll buy everybody the tequila, bourbon, scotch, whatever the hell they want." She's like, "You're an idiot. Come with me." And she took me to the mall, to this store, Robert Graham, where they had the loudest, most clown-like shirts you could ever imagine. And I dressed my entire career, slacks and a sport coat. Many years we had to wear a tie. They finally relaxed that. And it was just really uncomfortable. And I thought they were ugly. Maybe fugly is even better.
So you weren't like the guy that was like growing up and throughout high school wearing loud stuff and then in your professional life. This was like a thing that you started to do.
This took off like I never, ever could have imagined. So we get out of the car at the hotel the first morning, and we don't know each other, but you could probably tell I'm not a head down type of guy.
Right.
But I walked into this conference head down. I feel like I've got Bozo the Clown on my body. Within 10 minutes, I had so many compliments about the shirt. But now here's the kicker of the story. She made me buy 9 for a 3-day conference. Change at lunch, change at dinner.
Nuh-uh. So like, you would have a different shirt in the afternoon than people saw you in the morning. I bet they noticed it too.
So all of a sudden, I got compliments all the way up to lunch as I'm walking around, talking to any human being that would talk to me. But I didn't need to go up to anybody. They all came up to, great shirt. Wow. You got a bunch of lawyers there that are trying to be stuffy in their coat and ties, which most PI lawyers don't wear coat and ties.
Right.
But for a conference, they put one on. And after lunch, again, it was just a big hit. I became known as the loud shirt radio guy. But more important, I got to have conversations with people much quicker in a far more open fashion because it wasn't about business. People were coming up to me about my shirt. But what I learned in 3 days was that personal injury law firms across the country put TV and billboards #1 and all said, nobody listens to the radio. What's radio? Who does rate now? And I got back to my office and I said, okay, I'm niching down. And I'm only going to work with law firms. And that's what we did the middle of May. I say we are a team now. It was just me.
Wow.
In the middle of May 2021.
You're preaching to the choir. The whole billboard thing, I love talking about it. So I don't profess to know the secrets of marketing or anything, but I am of the mind that billboards are not useless, but I don't know what it's sort of been going on forever. And I mean, I have close friends who are lawyers who have utilized radio immensely in the past. They probably work with you. I'm not going to name drop them. I actually
name drop. Go for it.
James Helm.
I launched him in 27 markets across the United States. And by the way, one of the best stories ever, which hopefully we'll be able to get into.
James, I met James in law school because we're both from Philly. I mean, he's a close friend, and like we've gone hiking in Utah together. Like he's a friend. So yeah, I mean, and he also probably, in my opinion, one of the smartest guys in the legal space because he understands business and he understands marketing and he understands human behavior. But I know he has capitalized on radio, which I believe, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the podcast. I don't care. I say what I want if you don't know me, but I do believe it's a massively underutilized. I think probably now less underutilized now that you're involved and capitalizing on a market that is really smart, in my opinion. I mean, you're able to talk to people in their car and have a real, actual, meaningful message as opposed to some generic billboard that literally looks the same as everybody else's. But I'm going to stop talking now because I could go on about this.
So it's interesting. Before we talk about James, there are 2 things that have to happen for any law firm to grow their business, aside from the most important thing, which is great legal work, which a lot of people lose sight of. But you have to have a website, which is your home. Because in today's world, you don't really have a lot of people coming to your office. If you happen to get a great settlement and you want to bring somebody in and give them the check and do the pictures, but most of that doesn't happen.
Right.
So your website is your home. You must have a great digital presence, online presence for somebody to find you. So your digital marketing agency has got to be doing a great job. But this is what I say to law firms across the country. You have the best SEO. You have the best PPC campaign. You got your LSAs, your GMBs, everything's working. But nobody knows who the fuck you are.
It's so true.
Why are they going to choose you?
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
So billboards, which I think most firms utilize similarly, they're boring. Injured? Call us. Injured? Go to. And a nice, pretty picture of a guy or a girl on a billboard.
Right.
There's one campaign by a firm that everybody loves to hate, but everybody wants to be.
I know who you're talking about, I think, but go on.
Well, it's not James, but it's John.
So I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah,
tell you,
they do. I just have to say, they freaking hate on John Morgan, and everyone would take his business in a heartbeat.
they're brilliant.
They're smart. Like, what? Don't hate the player, hate the game. Go on.
But here's the funny part. Everybody wants to be like him today.
Mm-hmm.
But before I tell that part, he got me with one of his billboards. And I'm friendly, not friends, but friendly with Dan Morgan.
Me too.
And the billboards went up with the graffiti all over it. Well, I only saw one. So I didn't know it was a campaign, and I'm in marketing. And I was like, whoever fucked this billboard up did a great damn job. And then I start looking and I'm like, holy shit, this is intentional. And I was like, this is what I say every day of my life to everybody that I speak to. And I don't care if it's a rookie lawyer, like my two kids, or somebody who's been in the business for 40 years that wants to be like John Morgan. Be intentional with what you want from people. Ask for the business that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want to be a jack of all trades and do everything? You can't be an expert then.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a personal injury attorney, and I did a little bit of research, you do med mal.
Yeah.
Own it. Own it. You don't have to talk about all the other things. If you do med mal better than anybody, fucking stick to it and build the greatest med mal practice in America. My dear friend, Joe Freed. Sure, you've heard of him too.
Great lawyer. Yep.
Great lawyer, better human being.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends since we're 13 years old.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to meet Joe, but I've looked up to him since I was in law school, just in terms of I liked him because he's like a real honest, and I can't imagine he's faking that, but he seems to be a genuinely great guy. Like, not in addition to being a very good lawyer.
So first off, he's as vulnerable as could be.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he's done very, very well. And what he wants to do today is give back. And I watched him on stage, and he says, if you have a question and you need some help, reach out to me. Now, he might not go do all the research himself, but he's going to get you what you need to help. He wants people to be helped. He wants lawyers to be great lawyers. There's so many personalities in your space, from the left to the right, from the wildest to the most giving. And I'm grateful that I know so many people, not to work with them, but to help give me knowledge so I can help the law practices that decide they want us to help them. I mean, look, James, go back to James for a moment. When I started 4 years ago, I'm dialing every lawyer that I could find a phone number for. And you know what I realized in 2 months? I didn't get one lawyer on the phone. I was like, okay, this sucks. How am I going to do this? And I went on Instagram, which I've been on Facebook and Instagram for quite a few years, but never for business.
Right.
And I just started following law firms. I got lists and followed. And now I'm writing comments on their posts on the front of the page. Somehow I said something to James that we connected through DM. And he grants me a call, a Zoom. And we have a great chat and we connect on a lot of things. And if you're friends with James, you could put 2 and 2 together.
Yep.
And I go through my whole pitch and James ghosts me for 3 weeks. I'm like, what? In my head, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? And all of a sudden my phone rings and it's him. I answer it. I'm like, James, how are you, man? He's like, your clients are fucking stupid. I'm like, and I might have one of the words wrong, but it wasn't fucking.
Right.
And I was like, tell me why. He goes, look, I'm already on one station in Philly. So I called to see about getting this RDS. That shit's expensive as hell. I said, well, would you like me to settle your $5 million case for $500,000? He's like, that's stupid. I said, exactly. And you trying to buy media is also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I said, why don't you pay me my fee? We've both wasted more money than my fee in our lives in worse places.
Mm-hmm.
And at least you'll get something back that makes sense. He's like, you're on. And I put a plan together for him. I send it to him. And for 1 year, he did Philly radio only based on the plan that we put together. And then he grew market by market by market by market by market. So we do not work together today. We are still very dear friends. I just sent him a picture, by the way, that I'm on your podcast.
I'd be dying to hear what he says, and maybe you can't even share it on here, but that's great.
But he got to a point where he was nationwide, where he's the number 2 urban radio law firm advertiser in the country.
That's nuts. Yeah.
You know who's number 1?
Who?
John Morgan.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. The law firms that work with us, we can never outspend Morgan & Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Never. Nobody.
Right.
But we can outshare the number 1, number 2, number 3 advertisers, whether it's radio or TV. It's not going to be a small investment, but the investment any marketer makes in their own business, the payoff is down the road. It is not immediate.
Right.
If I wanted, Tom, to sell this ugly orange Sharpie, I use all orange because it's my favorite color. But we could figure out a way to make this Sharpie sound so damn sexy and price it so right that we could sell millions of them. We might not make a lot of money, but we're going to get it in people's hands who are going to then be talking about it. A law firm, again, radio, TV, billboards, digital, all of it. You're reaching millions of people, whatever form of marketing you're doing. But 98% of all law firms' marketing is branding. Because you do something that nobody ever wants. Forget personal injury. Forget med mal. Divorce attorneys. Nobody wants a divorce attorney, but they have to have one when they get to that point. Business attorneys. Well, what is the first thing a business owner thinks of when they got to find a business attorney?
I don't know.
This is going to be fucking expensive.
Right.
These guys charge $600 an hour. Well, guess what? They're worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
Every penny. And I learned myself as that single guy who put together his own contract from 4 other agencies, and I put it together my way. And guess what? I got bit in the ass once. It only took once.
And then you realize this is worth every penny to pay a good business lawyer.
100%. But now I have, and I'm going to give you a little secret, the whole audience, for your intake teams. I now have paperwork that is fair for both versus the word contract. Now think about this. You live in contracts every single day of your life. What do you think law firms, personal injury law firms, clients think when they hear that word?
It's like sneaky and someone's going to screw me.
Okay. There's a plethora of negative things that come with the word contract.
Right.
I learned this from a guy named Chad Shelley out of Louisville. He's a wordsmith. Paperwork, everybody's comfortable. We all do paperwork.
Right.
How do you make the potential client feel comfortable? We talk about, I hear people talk about the words sympathy and empathy. Now, you're a small practice, so you probably don't have an intake team at your office.
Well, a small one, but yeah, not we're not robust.
How many people?
4 at this point.
Okay. Now, you know these 4 people personally, right?
Yes.
Do you know if any of the 4 have ever been in an accident?
I don't know.
So to be empathetic, you have had to experience. To be sympathetic, you understand what they're going through. But to be compassionate is just being somebody that cares. And what I see, because I listen to thousands of calls across the country, the lack of compassion, because the law firms want the case signed up. So they go to the script and they read a script and they stick on the script. Somebody says somebody died. Fuck the script.
Right.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. You know what? Here at XYZ firm, we have been through this situation with many other clients. It's so unfortunate, but I'm so happy you called us because we're here to hold your hand and help get you through this situation. How does that person feel now versus, hi, what's your name again? After they just said somebody died.
Exactly. And what's your address? And they're crying about their husband who died.
Right.
But why is, can I just talk about this? You're a marketing radio guy. I mean, you're speaking to me right now because these are things that I've bitched about the legal profession for years. And I've only been in it 8 years. Why the detachment? Why do lawyers, you must have like wanted to pull your hair out when you start talking to lawyers and see the detachment and the lack of common sense, the lack of compassion. Not all of them, not everybody, but like the things we're talking about, like it's, I got into this field because my grandmother died from negligence and we couldn't find a lawyer. So, and my dad was a police officer. My mom waited tables. So I have a unique experience on the other side of that, but
you have a why.
Yeah.
You have a why.
Yeah. But I see, to what you said, all the time, and I hire people that I know are compassionate and I know they are like, they're not going to do something like that. But I think it's probably it might even be the majority that do as opposed to don't. So do you see that? How do you deal with that, especially with firms or lawyers who have been entrenched in their ways for so long? Because obviously you know what you're doing, and lawyers can be stubborn and think they know what they're doing even when they're doing it poorly.
Well, you can look at intake as sales, which it is to a certain extent. But in my opinion, if somebody picked up the phone and called your firm The only reason you shouldn't be able to help them is if they weren't at fault, they were at fault, excuse me, or you find out that there isn't any insurance. And then that's that hard conversation where the client gets upset and they think it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the other side of that? Why do people think when they call a personal injury law firm that they're going to make $1 million? Why? Why do they think that?
Billboards?
Marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing. So the word intentional means something. If you are a trial lawyer, you tell your story as being a trial lawyer. You might not be the right lawyer for the masses. But if those people call, you can farm any one of those cases out to a firm that can help. Oh, and you get some mailbox money on the side.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't hurt. You ever read Fireproof?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Interesting book. Very telling. Written by Mike Morse and his experience.
Oh, that's why I know about it. Do you know Jen Gore?
Very, very well.
Jen's a friend of mine who has been a mentor to me. And I met her when I set off, and I've had my own firm now for 2.5 years. But I met Jen like right kind of at the beginning of my journey. She's just a great lawyer. I mean, I'm sure yeah.
I am very, very good friends with Jen.
Yeah, I love her. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to text her our picture too. She'll respond a lot faster than James.
Exactly. James will get back to you in 2 weeks.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe.
He's like that, by the way. He's just like that. But he's always on the move though. And so it's like, yeah.
He's built a wonderful business and a wonderful life for himself.
Yeah.
Look, I told him if he only converted to Judaism, I would have set him up with my daughter.
You're strict like that.
I'm not. They are.
Yeah.
I want them to be happy.
Right.
But they got to choose their happiness.
It's funny. Half of my grandmother, my Italian grandmother. Half of my friends growing up, I'm Catholic. Half of my friends growing up were Jewish and half were like Roman Catholic. Weird mix, but that's just like where I grew up. So I've been to more bar and bat mitzvahs than first communions. But I've learned through my years that Jewish grandmothers and Italian grandmothers are just very similar.
It's the same. You're my Italian cousin.
Right. Yeah.
We both like pizza. We both like brisket.
Right.
I've never been to Italy, so that's on the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So
we got off track.
Yeah, it's okay. So you're based in South Florida.
Yes.
But I imagine if someone needs your help anywhere in the country, obviously your services are what they are. You have that unique position, having worked in media, to be able to, I imagine, kind of make connections wherever you need to.
So I pride myself on several things. Forget great work. The most accessible person in media anywhere in the country. It is part of our culture that we respond to people within an hour. Me, if like this, I'm doing this and I got a text, hey, I'll be right with you. I'm in the middle of something, but at least acknowledge that somebody reached out. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a client, a prospect, or a radio or TV or billboard partner. Or if it's, and I hate this word, another vendor, because I don't consider myself a vendor. I consider myself the law firm's partners. One lawyer said to me, Gary, if you're a partner, why don't you chip in on the advertising? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Nice try.
It doesn't work like that. That you shouldn't use the word partner. I'm like, you're being literal. Don't be literal, Mr. Lawyer.
Classic lawyer. Oh, God. Yeah.
But, so we work with people all the way down the Eastern Seaboard, Boston, Philly, New York, Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, all of Florida. We go all the way out west towards Phoenix. We go all the way up towards Seattle and in the middle of the country. And for the last 8 months, we are working in Anchorage, Alaska.
Nuh-uh.
I have met every one of our clients, partners, face to face, but I did not do it in Alaska. It happened in New Orleans at a conference.
Bit warmer.
By the way, our partner in Alaska lives in Mexico in the winter.
Go figure.
They've done pretty well.
I can imagine.
They've done pretty well.
Can I ask you, just, and I don't want you to like give us all your trade secrets, but I'm curious what you think it is about radio that's helpful or special. I mean, marketing is such a broad word, but what is it, if you could distill it down, that you think is...
So before I go specific on radio, I'm going to say what I say to everybody. I don't care what you do. Own it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy bus benches? Buy every damn bus bench you can. You want to do billboards? You better buy a shit ton of billboards so you stand out, and your creative better be different. TV. You could do TV. Do you want to be up against 12 firms in the morning news and you see 4 law firm spots back to back to back? We're not even going to talk about the erosion of listenership, viewership, and the ability to have everything at your fingertips. But for a personal injury attorney who does not specialize in med mal, okay? So just a typical PI firm. Where do car accidents happen?
Everywhere?
But where are you? What are you on?
On the road.
On the road. When was the last time you watched television in your car?
Right.
When was the last time you listened to the radio in your car?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the best part, because most of the people, Tom, that I deal with are not as young as you. Most. Number 2, they generally have acquired a bit of wealth. Nobody listens to the radio. Okay, come with me. Let's go get lunch. And I'll walk into any restaurant with somebody. And now for shits and giggles, I'm going to say I'm speaking to Tom, the maitre d' at some restaurant in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, out of curiosity, what's your favorite radio station?
I don't know. 92.3.
Oh, okay. But let's just stick with I don't know.
Okay.
I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah.
Okay, but Tom, if you did listen to the radio, what radio station would you listen to? Oh, you already said 92.3. Tom, I know you don't listen to 92.3, but could you name one of the disc jockeys' personalities that might be on that station?
I'm the wrong guy.
Could you name the type of music that's on that station?
Yes.
What is it?
Pop, R&B, hip hop and R&B.
So at that point, the lawyer next to me is like, I'm like, look, radio is everywhere. Today's world, we have choices. Now watch this. You ready? Do you eat at McDonald's?
No.
No. Have you bought a Coke, a coffee, French fries, or a sundae at McDonald's?
Yes.
Have you done that in the last year?
Probably.
Okay. Now, if we were to ask 100 people, do you eat at McDonald's? The answer is no, because it's not cool. It's not healthy. It's the dumbest thing to say to somebody.
But they actually do.
Well, actually, it's over 80% of America will buy something at McDonald's this year.
Wow.
Same thing is with radio. Do you listen to the radio? No, I have XM, I have Spotify, I have this, I have that. Do you watch TV? Yeah, but I use Netflix and Max and Bop. I cut the cord and Bop. You're still watching your local news or your local sports. You're still listening to the radio, and you're still fucking buying a Coke at McDonald's.
So true. Yeah.
Psyche. Back to the word compassion. It's all about how you answer things and speak to people.
So how do you, if a lawyer or a law firm comes to you and you don't know them, you haven't worked with them before, how do you peek underneath the hood to see like where to even start? Because I can imagine you're dealing with different lawyers, different areas, different personalities, of course. Does that vary, or do you kind of have the same blueprint no matter what?
Every firm is different. Every business is different because people want to build different types of firms. For us, what we want to learn, who is your market? Who do you want your market to be? And how quickly are you willing to invest to grow to it? Back to John Morgan. What has he done for 40 years? Nonstop. Marketed. He puts his foot on the gas and never takes it off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're an attorney in the Philadelphia market, and I guarantee you've seen different law firms start to advertise and then come off, and then start again and then come off.
Yep.
And you know what they say? I'm going to try it. And they've never given it enough time for it to work. All marketing works if you're patient. You're in the only business, and I can't find another one. You ready? Prospect calls your firm today. They sign your retainer today. You start on their case today. You find out the insurance that's out there, pop, pop, pop. Let's just call it a pre-suit. No litigation.
Okay.
You're still going to have an average time on desk of 14 months.
Oh, is that
You're
right?
not going to get
Yeah.
$1.
Yeah,
So any new advertiser in the personal injury legal space, on average, is 14 months.
Wow.
There are outliers that happen faster, where you could get a demand out and they pay it. We're going to talk normal.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't that many businesses that are out there that work like you do. They sell the orange pen.
They get money.
Get paid.
Yeah.
And they reinvest it and they sell more pens.
Right.
Your business isn't like that. So I've seen in the last 4 years and in my 39 years in marketing, longer than you're alive, more people come on and off because they don't trust the process.
Right.
So my goal is to understand our prospects' needs, wants, and goals. Then when we put a plan together, it's how do we own radio, TV, billboards? And then we come back and present it to our firms. This is what it's going to take to own the market. Law firm has 3 responses, basically. 1 is yes, let's go. 2 is no, I don't want to do that. 3 is I'm not ready to invest that much money, but I am willing to invest this.
Mm-hmm.
Then a great agency will be honest and say, we could help make a difference with that investment, or we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's out here listening, if you are going to do something in radio, TV, billboards, top of the funnel marketing, along with a great digital strategy, if you can't commit to a year, don't do it. Go take your significant other, wife, husband, whatever your significant other is, on a nice vacation, because at least you'll enjoy the money spent.
Yeah, it's the long game, I guess, right?
It has to be. You didn't open your business to be there for 3 years, 5 years, 8 years. And oh, by the way, you know what the other thing most law firms don't think about? Exit strategy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying at 4 years you need to have an exit strategy, but at 15 you should.
Right. I think a lot of lawyers don't even think, like, they don't even face the reality that they're going to not be here forever. But that's a whole other discussion. And that's probably driven by ego, and also, well, I could go on. But we do have to wrap up. But I have to say, Gary, I'm so grateful that you came on and shared your insights, and we got to meet. And we also are displaying black and orange, not on purpose, but I think that's kind of cool. But thank you so much. And I guess I'll just end by asking you, could you tell us where folks can find you if they want to reach out?
So the loudest guy on Instagram, Gary Sarner, or ROI360 plus, PLUS on Instagram. My cell phone, which I give freely to anybody, 954-560-6371. And whether we do business or not, I'm here to help people understand better why their brand matters in today's world versus just that last attribution, which is a click. I am so grateful that you had me on. It was a pleasure to meet you. Look forward to seeing you. I am in Philly. I do work in Philly, not with James any longer, but I work with Lundy Law.
Nice. I know Len.
And
Jordan.
There,
you know Jordan?
Shake hands.
You know Jordan?
Very well.
I mean, yeah, and I know both of them guys. Good guys. I'd love to meet you in person.
They are great people.
Yeah.
They really are. And by the way, again, compassion. Be caring. Your clients will come back and send people back to you.
Mm-hmm. True.
I'm grateful for you having me on today.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Tom.
And that's a wrap for this episode of City of Brotherly Law. I'm Tom Bosworth, reminding you that in Philly, we don't just practice law, we live it, we breathe it, we fight for it every day. This city was built on grit and determination. That's exactly how we approach justice. That's how we approach cases. Join us next time for more straight talk and legal insights from the heart of Philadelphia. Until then, stay tough and keep it real, Philly.